Man, what is going on, Raider Nation? I'm so excited that you guys decided to pull up. Me and Farrell have a wonderful show lined up for you. There's a ton to talk about, right, in Raider Nation. We've got the Aaron Rodgers talk. We've got Derek Carr. We're going to get into Josh Jacobs. I mean, there's just a lot to kind of peel back and talk about when it comes to the silver and black. And I'm excited that you guys decided to pull up and tune in. Make sure you let everybody know where you're at tonight. Go to your social media handles. Let them know that you are on Raider, Ray, and Farrell NFL is going to be joining me. Without further ado, I'm gonna get to these chats, man. We're gonna see who decided to pull up. Raider Way, not to get confused with a Raider Ray. Salute Ray and Farrell NFL. Salute to you, Raider Way. All Eyes on G. Salute Ray and to the nation. Shout out to you, All Eyes. I appreciate you for coming to the show. Sean Johnson, my man. Salute Raider Ray. Long time no live. That is 110% facts. Extremely a lot. Let's just keep it to a lot to get into, but that's what makes this fun. Hello, Auntie Six. What's going on there, brother? Halo Raider, what's going on, Halo? I appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Raphael, what's going on? David is in the building. Let's go, Ray and Pharaoh. So without further ado, guys, I'm not going to make my co-host wait. All right. Oh, Halo Raider says fire logo, my brother. Hey, we got a lot. We got a lot coming in. What's going on, brother?
I had to come with the Raider chant, man, because it's been
it's that time.
It's been a minute since we've been on, man. Hey, man, salute to the nation, salute to everybody that's pulled up. Man, we got a lot to talk about, man. Right? Hey, it's like I said, man. Like, hey, I was talking to you earlier, man. There's so much to talk about. The latest and greatest with the Raiders, including Derek Carr, man. I want to get into that as soon as possible, man. That was, whoo. Because for a second there, I was thinking that, man, is this guy going to get released? A guy that we could have traded for 2 first-round picks, allegedly, reportedly last offseason, to the Colts, who were really interested. Now it's the Saints, and possibly, we can get maybe get their first-round pick, which is later in the first round, but still, it's still a first-round pick, valuable pick. Draft picks, to me, are way valuable than any cap space, in my opinion. And then we'll talk about, Aaron Rodgers and all that good stuff. And, we'll get into it, man. But I'm just glad to talk football with Raider Nation, man.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing, before we get into the Derek Carr debate, we've got a few things to kind of talk about. But I'm hearing that there's more than just one team involved. It's not just the Saints. Matter of fact, Derek Carr is not only going to stop with New Orleans, he actually has other visits scheduled, which tells me that there's multiple teams interested, which benefits nobody else but the Raiders, because that means the asking price is going to go up. However, ultimately, it does come down to Derek Carr, to where he wants to play football. So before we get into all that, and we will get into it, Raider Nation, I'm really excited to do that. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs for a second. And what this means for the direction of the Raiders organization. I know a lot of people want to bring him back. With all the rumors that Aaron Rodgers is going to become a quarterback of the Raiders, you're talking about a lot of guaranteed money. And if you do go that route, is it in the Raiders' best interest to bring Josh Jacobs back? Because you're talking about a $14 to $16 million per year contract if he's not franchise tagged. And we all know that Josh Jacobs does not want to be franchise tagged. There's a lot that's actually going to go into this move. And I think that the Raiders, Pharaoh, have to be really, really careful, because if they just throw money at Josh Jacobs, they've thrown a lot of guaranteed money at the offensive side of the football. Mm-hmm. And if you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you're talking about kind of strapping yourself up in a cap situation. And I don't necessarily know that the running back position is due $16 million a year. Now, I do think Josh Jacobs deserves everything that he has coming to him. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know that it's in the Raiders' best interest to give him $16 million a year.
No, I understand where you're coming from. And you can't – it's all about value. And the running back position is not as valuable as other positions on the football field, on the football team, I should say. And, a guy like Josh Jacobs – he can be an exception to the rule, but is he going to be an exception to the rule to the Raiders, especially with all their needs and everything that they got going on? It's going to be tough. But I'm kind of like, I'm with bringing back. In my opinion, I think the Raiders should find every way possible to bring Josh Jacobs back. Now, $16 million might be a little steep. I'm thinking maybe 12 mil. You know what I mean? A tops 3-year deal. He's 24 years old. He'll be able to go back into free agency at age 27, still get another deal. I think it's a win-win for both Raiders and Josh Jacobs. And at the end of the day, I know he wants to be a Raider. Josh Jacobs wants to be a Raider. He has a Raider tattoo on him. I mean, like you see him with Raider fans, you see him in Raider Nation, you see him talk. He's pretty active on social media. You see him repping the Raiders. You could tell what type of leader he is in that locker room. They got to find it every way possible to bring a player like that because he's a great player. You got to find a way to keep your great players. But that being said, I did start off by saying that he does play that devalued position, that running back position, but he's the best at what he does. You know what I mean? He's arguably the best at his position. I mean, he played like the best this year. You know what I mean? Leading the league in rushing. He had the best year out of every running back this year. And to me, in my opinion, I think they should find a way to bring him back. But 16 mil, that's gonna be tough. And we'll get into the Aaron Rodgers because I got my
right. Yeah, we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, look, did Josh Jacobs just step into another level, or is he a product of a scheme that benefits running backs? Historically, we've seen Josh McDaniels have great amount of success with running backs, whether it's by a trio, whether it's individual performances. And is Josh Jacobs a product of a really good system? Now, I'm not saying he's not a really good running back, but historically, what we've seen in his career, he's got to that 1,200-yard mark. He dealt with injuries. He hit that 900-yard mark. If you go out there and you sign Josh Jacobs to a $14 million, say it's $14 million, we'll go on the lower end of 16, say it's $14 million annually. That's a lot of money wrapped up into a situation that Josh Jacobs has dealt with injuries. He played last year with injuries. I know that he played through them, but at $14 million a year, that is a lot of money, especially when you're talking about the amount of holes on the defensive side of the football. And you're talking about a draft that's loaded with talent that if you build up the front of this offensive line, we don't know. We don't know the success that another running back could have behind this type of offensive line in this offensive scheme. And to get production, especially if you go out and get an Aaron Rodgers, just to get enough production to keep the offense moving, to keep the offense on the track, so to say. So to me, I'm just a little bit cautious. I love Josh Jacobs as a player. I think he deserves every bit of money coming his way. I'm looking at the big picture here. And if he doesn't sign a 3-year deal, like you're saying, $12 million deal, which will be extremely team friendly if he does go and do that, the Raiders could tie themselves up contractually in a situation that they don't want to see, and maybe throwing money at a player that do we necessarily need to be throwing that much money to?
Okay. So I see where you're coming from. And this is probably how you would have felt if we still had Derek Carr. My thing is we don't have Derek Carr. Now our options are, we got options now at this point, and there's different ways you can go about it. In my opinion, I don't think the Raiders should go after a guy like Aaron Rodgers.
That's my opinion as well.
Because at the end of the day, like we have too many needs, like for us to put it in. Like Aaron Rodgers, when a team trades for a player, a big time player, a big time contract, they're pretty much saying that this player is the missing piece to winning a Super Bowl. I don't think Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career, with where the Raiders are at on, in their team, I don't think they're a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think they should go young at the position, go cheap at the position, and then that's where it makes it easier to bring a guy like Josh Jacobs back. In my opinion, that's how I'm viewing it. I'm viewing it like, let's go cheap at quarterback, bring back Josh Jacobs, sign him to his deal, and quarterback's best friend is a running game, right? So, hey, it makes sense to bring back, but the other side to it is that a guy like Davante Adams is going to be like, is he going to stay for that? Is he going to stay for, but hey, if he feels like, because there's a couple of quarterbacks in this draft that I feel like they can come to the Raiders right away and be, it's going to be nice. It's not going to be one of those situations where, I know early on we talked about Anthony Richardson where he needs some time to develop, but there's a couple of quarterbacks in this draft. If the Raiders are able to get some draft picks in a trade with Derek Carr, you can use those draft picks to probably move up in the draft and get a guy like a CJ Stroud or I think one of my favorite quarterbacks in the draft, Bryce Young, man. I like Bryce Young, man. To me, he's my number one quarterback. He's my number one quarterback, man. He's my number one quarterback, man. That's my guy right now. For right now, I kind of flip-flop. I like Anthony Richardson. I still do. It's just that, as far he needs time to develop. I understand that part about it. The reason why I've been talking about him early on in the process is because I felt like, there's no chance of the Raiders getting a Bryce Young. But if CJ Stroud, if everybody keeps talking about, a Bryce Young size, there's a possibility that he could drop down. And, if he drops down to that, if he gets past 3.
See, that's my guy. CJ Stroud's my pick.
No, I get you. I like CJ Stroud too. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's my pick. But you kind of beat me to the punch because I was going to say the only way that you do bring Josh back is if you're able to go out there and land a rookie deal. Because look, a rookie deal in the NFL, you look at historically over the past couple of Super Bowls of the teams that are able to build a solid foundation around a quarterback that's on a rookie deal. I mean, you look at the success that, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs had. You look at a Joe Burrow. You look at a Josh Allen. You look at all these quarterbacks that were signed to rookie deals and the ability that their organization has to build around these guys, to build a good competitive defense, to go out there and get weapons and allocate it. The Raiders are not a quarterback away. Now, is Rodgers an upgrade over Derek Carr? I believe he is. I don't think that connection between DC and Davante Adams was quite as special as what we thought. Don't get me wrong; they had a lot of really good moments, but I do think Aaron Rodgers might even be able to upplay that a little bit, especially with the Hunter Renfrows, the Darren Wallers, a potential Josh Jacobs. He's in a stacked offense. It's just this team has so many defensive holes and you have so many areas that you need to address. Middle linebacker, defensive tackle. And if you go out and extend Josh Jacobs and bring in an Aaron Rodgers, you're hurting Patrick Graham yet again, and you're not taking any steps forward, so to say. Yet you still have a below average defense, and you're just keep throwing talent on the offensive side of the ball. And my catch to that is, if Josh McDaniels is so worried about people checking in and out of his plays and not calling the plays that Josh McDaniels is running, what does he think going out and getting a guy like Aaron Rodgers is going to do in this offense? If you want a guy, and and to be honest, I know everybody's like, oh, Josh McDaniels is on the hot seat. He's got to go out there and win now. Look, if Josh McDaniels goes out there and gets a rookie quarterback, and that rookie quarterback can perform similar, maybe have a Pro Bowl appearance like a Mac Jones did in his system his rookie year, maybe that buys Josh McDaniels more time because now Raider Nation is like, hey, he's got this young quarterback. He's building in a system. He had a good year. And maybe it makes more sense to go get a rookie and to groom him, because a rookie's not going to come into Josh McDaniels' scheme and start changing up plays on Josh McDaniels. He's not going to give a ton of pushback to his first-time head coach in the National Football League. If you want the most buy-in, if you're Josh McDaniels, my opinion, your route is to go out there and go get a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. But what people are forgetting in this whole process is the fact that, the pressure that Mark Davis is going to give the front office. And because I feel like if they give, and I thought, this is early on. This is early on when Tom Brady was available.
Right.
And Vic Tafur, he had like an interesting, look at the whole situation when he said that if the Raiders were to get a guy like Tom Brady that Mark Davis wanted, it would buy McDaniels and Ziegler more time, because if it doesn't work out, Mark Davis could be like, you know what, that was actually a guy that I wanted, and he's not going to put too much on unless the 2023 season went like we went left, like all the way left. My thing is that a guy like Aaron Rodgers is going to be a guy that Mark Davis wants, and a guy like Davante Adams wants. And if Davante Adams doesn't get his guy, then that, it can go left there too. Which at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense, man. He's a veteran. He wants his quarterback. He wants his guy. He wants to win now. Getting a rookie quarterback is kind of a sign of like, okay, we're rebuilding. But in my eyes, like, look, if you look at all, and players know this too. You seen Micah Parsons, a few weeks ago, retweet or make a comment about a tweet about how like a lot of the teams left pretty much have our quarterbacks on rookie deals, except for obviously Mahomes. So that's where I'm looking at it. Like, build this team, build this roster, get a guy on a rookie contract, and just go from there, man. Give you a chance to win a Super Bowl, and because that's literally the recipe right now. Like, a lot of these teams, unless your name is Patrick Mahomes, the teams that are going to the Super Bowl are teams with quarterbacks that are playing on like favorable deals. You know what I mean? Like, man, it makes a lot of sense, but man, I don't know, man. I think they're really about to go after Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully it's not for no second round pick, first round pick. it better be like a third or fourth rounder because his contract is crazy, and he can retire at any moment. So you're gonna trade away draft picks for a guy that, like, right now. I think I was reading an article where I think he was on his boy Pat McAfee show, and he was saying that, oh, he needs some time to think and go into the darkness. That, I don't know,
Yeah,
mumbo
yeah,
jumbo. I don't know what he's talking about, but he he's over here talking about, like, he needs some time to think and yada 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 yada. Like, I'm like, all right, this is your king. This is the guy that you want. A guy that doesn't is not really 100% in. I don't think Raider Nation will want that. I don't think anybody on the Raiders will want a guy that you don't know. That's partly the reason why Davante Adams came to the Raiders, was because he didn't really know if Aaron Rodgers was going to play another year, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it was a lot of instability in that part. So that's why he wanted to go to the Raiders, was the fact that there was Derek Carr and all that. But yeah, man, I'm kind of like, let's go cheap. Let's go cheap and build from there, because we got so many needs, man.
Yeah,
And
we
and,
got.
and go ahead.
And do you think at some type of level that it's not necessarily like, how do I say this? Do you think that it's the Raiders could get in a dangerous situation by giving Davante Adams that much say? Like, you've already paid the guy a ridiculous amount of money. We know that you want to make him happy because he's among the elite players of the NFL. But to give him that much sway and say into what you're going to make as a decision wise for the roster, is there a position to where you kind of let Davante Adams know, like, hey man, look, we paid you, and regardless if you like, say we don't get Aaron Rodgers and we go out and grab a CJ Stroud, is Davante Adams really going to throw a big fit over that? Do you think he would make a situation where he wants out of Vegas, or do you think that he would have internal issues with the organization? How do you think that would go? And do you think that giving Davante Adams that much say and leeway is a dangerous thing, possibly?
Now, I think it's a good move because he's a high character guy. Like, he's a great leader. You could just tell. Like, Davante Adams was better than advertised on and off the field. Like, he's like the modern day Tim Brown, as far as like a guy that, like, like, he's gonna be a leader in that locker room. On and off the field, he's gonna make an impact. And that's what we've seen the whole year. You know what I mean? Even with the Derek Carr situation, he still put up his numbers. He still was Davante Adams. It didn't matter what quarterback was on the football field. I think I think it's smart on their part. And if they could find a way to I'm hoping that, like, in my opinion, I hope that the Packers are asking for like 2 first round picks. So then, like, Dave Z could let him in, like, hey, this is too much. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
We can't do this.
yeah,
And let him in. Let him. I don't know. I'm not part of that front office. But at the end of the day, I feel like a guy like Davante Adams would be the perfect guy. Like, it's not like Antonio Brown or anything like that. You're not talking about that type of player. We're talking about a guy that is the face of the franchise at this point. And it makes sense to me. But I think from his point of view, he probably wants to see that they're actually making an effort to try to win now, which I think they're going to do that. And I think that they're going to try every way possible to make that happen. In my opinion, if the Raiders were really aggressive this offseason, is if they're able to get some picks from Derek, like I mentioned this earlier, if they can get some picks from Derek Carr, let's say they get a first round pick, a second round pick, that'll give them a little bit of ammunition to trade up. And then you get a guy like maybe a CJ Stroud, you get a guy like Bryce Young. Those are the two guys where I'm like, hey, these guys could come in and they can contribute early and be factors. And you made a great point about McDaniels and how he wants to control the issue with Derek Carr. One of the issues with Derek Carr was the fact that Derek Carr didn't have the control that he had at the line of scrimmage. And, a guy like Josh McDaniels, he could easily do that with a rookie, a talented rookie. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it just makes a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is, man.
and I don't believe the whole narrative that the Raiders can't win now with a rookie quarterback, especially if you get a CJ Stroud and you're coming into a situation with all these weapons. You're young, you're confident, and if the Raiders make the right moves defensively, a defense that can be opportunistic, create turnovers, get after the quarterback, stop the run. If the Raiders can have a middle of pack to above average defense that can go after and swarm the quarterback, we've seen rookies come in and have success in the NFL. I don't get this narrative that in every year, it's right. There's, oh, I don't know if this is the quarterback class unless you get player A or B. If you don't get player A or B, you're not going to be able to win now, and it's a waste of a draft pick. I don't. Some people's narratives, it doesn't make any sense to me, because you can go out here, make some significant moves on the defensive side of the football. Go get a Deron Payne. Go get a Davante David, who's extremely underrated even at his age, had not dipping at all in production. He's going to be leaving Tampa Bay due to salary cap issues. Go bolster up that front seven of this defense. This draft is loaded with defensive backs. You don't have to go out there and spend. Maybe go out there and get one premier name cornerback. Maybe you want to go get a James Bradbury. I'm just floating a name out there, and then draft, and you can do that building around a rookie quarterback, and then you can bring back Josh Jacobs and rely on a heavy running attack. Look, I'm just saying, there's ways to win football games with a rookie under helm. I don't think that it's Aaron Rodgers or bust for the Raiders.
No, it's not. It's not. And you could tell by Dave Z. I mean, you could tell like by some of his interviews where he talks about how much he values the draft, and how like you got to build a team through the draft. Going in free agency is not what he has. He made a comment. He said there's a reason why free agents are free agents. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so he knows this just as much as all the other GMs knows this. I mean, you would hope, but I think, in my opinion, I think that like the Raiders have too many needs to invest into one player. They're not, especially in this division, man. It's gonna be tough, man. Sean Payton is gonna try to revitalize that Denver Broncos. You know he's a great coach. You know Russell Wilson. We know him in the past to be a good QB. He wasn't good with Denver last year, but hey, maybe coaching was a big factor. And we'll see what Sean Payton can do, because he had his choices of going to a lot of different teams. Because I heard there was a report that one of the reasons why he didn't go to the Cardinals was because of Kyler Murray, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and he wanted to go to Denver and coach Russell Wilson. So we'll see how that turns out. But we know that he's gonna be a great coach for them, and they're gonna have a good defense. So that's gonna be a team that we're gonna watch out for. And then I haven't even mentioned the Chiefs, who are in the Super Bowl right now. So that's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. Like with Aaron Rodgers, yes, our offense is going to be top notch. We could probably squeak into the playoffs. The way I'm looking at it is not. I'm not saying that the Raiders can't make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that, but can we really win the Super Bowl? And on top of that, like, is that really a move that you do? Is that I'm kind of like in the long-term success over short-term gratification.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
100%. And it kind of feels like, do you think this is more of a Mark Davis decision with Aaron Rodgers? It being Las Vegas, you have to put in somebody. Look, you go to Vegas because you go there to win football games. It's the entertainment capital of the world. If you're not winning football games, if you don't have a product to put on the field that is worth filling out a 50,000 seat, 60,000 seat stadium, then you're doing it all wrong in Vegas. So Mark Davis probably feels pressure to go out there and get an upgrade over Derek Carr, which is why Tom Brady was in the discussion, and Mark Davis was wanting to get Tom Brady in there. Aaron Rodgers clearly sells jerseys. Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams in the silver and black definitely sells tickets. That's just kind of the route that I see that this is going. And like I was alluding to earlier, I think Josh McDaniels would love to go out there and get a rookie. I do see in the comments Houston from LA says Rodgers and draft a quarterback. If a good one isn't available, go for Caleb next year with having Rodgers, and you can still draft well with 9+ draft picks. Caleb Williams is better than any of these quarterbacks. You're not going to go anywhere near the first overall pick with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. It's not going to happen. So,
and on top of that, if we have the first overall pick with Aaron Rodgers is gone.
yeah.
Like, why would you want to continue to have Aaron Rodgers on your roster if we have the number one pick in the draft? Like, I'm all for it. Yeah, I think Caleb Williams would be good. But what you're saying is the Raiders season went totally left. We had a terrible season. Whatever they did in the offseason did not work. And an aging quarterback is on the look. If that happens, if we get the number one pick, it's rebuild mode.
Yeah.
Straight 100%.
up. Hey, if we got the number one pick, we're definitely taking Caleb Williams, and then we're definitely in good hands. So maybe you know what? Sure. Second guessing. Let's start Jarrett Stidham for the rest of the season. Let's not address any defensive issues.
For real.
No. But so moving forward, man, we're gonna get into our next topic of conversation. Um, Derek Carr. Is he going to be signing with the New Orleans Saints?
Signing or get traded?
Get traded to?
I hope so. For a second there, I was thinking that, with all these reports, these recent reports about the Derek Carr situation, I was hearing that like, hey, he's not going to really he's gonna head into free agency. Like the Raiders are not gonna get anything for Derek Carr, and it sucks because we know if he wasn't in the situation that he was in, meaning that February 15th deadline, we could definitely get a first round pick for Derek Carr. But it's just how everything, that's a short timeline for him to get traded, the no trade clause. It made it difficult, but we'll see. He's only visiting, y'all. But in order for the Raiders to allow them, the reason why the Raiders are allowing Derek Carr to visit New Orleans Saints is because there's a deal in place. They've agreed to compensation. Now it's on Derek Carr to go to the Saints and fill them out, see what type of plan they have. I'm sure that there's mutual interest for him. His old coach Dennis Allen is there, the guy that drafted him when he was a rookie. I'm sure he's looking at the team. They got a solid defense. They got some pieces there, but we'll see, man, because they got an interesting cap situation. So I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna get that.
Their cap situation, and that's because Sean Payton ran up that credit card.
Exactly.
But if he does go there, look, it does make all the sense. Dennis Allen drafted Derek Carr, but Dennis Allen, you got to remember, he's fighting for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to be on the hot seat too. You got to replace a guy like Andy Dalton. Derek Carr is a clear upgrade over a guy like Andy Dalton. The market value for quarterbacks, if you're talking about the middle of the pack, the Kirk Cousins, who is it? Daniel Jones is leaving the Giants. It's rumored that he's going to be getting $35 to $40 million. So
That's crazy.
if these middle of the pack quarterbacks are generating that kind of money, then maybe Derek Carr's contract doesn't look so bad to other teams around the National Football League.
Yep.
They're getting a 4-time Pro Bowler. They're getting a guy who's led a franchise for 9 years, who's been nothing but a true professional, regardless of the situation that the organization thrown at him. Maybe they view that as a guy that could come in here and help turn around an organization and potentially save a coaching staff. And I think if you're Dennis Allen, Derek Carr might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you made a good point about I think I forgot to do something real quick. But yeah, you made a good point about Daniel Jones, man. He might get like 35 to like 40 million a year. So a guy like Derek Carr, who I think is a better quarterback. I know he's coming off a tough year, probably his worst of his career. Daniel Jones, I don't look at Daniel Jones as a better quarterback than Derek Carr, even after a tough year. I know that Derek Carr could bounce back in the right situation. I'm sure teams probably look at it that way. We'll see. But you make a good point because at the end of the day, like every time offseason comes and a quarterback gets signed, that money goes up. And it's true for every position, like wide receiver position. Last offseason, you saw guys like Zay Jones get like crazy amount of money. You got, receivers getting money left and right. So that means that the next guys coming up, the guys that are like, the top at their position, they're gonna reset the market. It just keeps happening. So the way teams are gonna look at it is like, hey, if we can get him at this contract, hey, this is a pretty decent contract for what Derek Carr is. I mean, we're not gonna have to pay him like what 50, 60, whatever much the going rate is now. At this point. So I do think that, yeah, you made a good point there. But we'll see, man. Like, because it's really up to Derek Carr. He's gonna have to sign off on it, to be honest with you. So he's gonna have to sign off.
Do you think the Saints is a place you think he would want to go? I think that there's some interest if he's getting on a plane and going out there.
I think it's the right division for sure. The
Yeah,
right
100%.
division. Right division. That he has to be looking at that. Like, this is a division where he can compete for the division title, go to the playoffs. He could build if he feels comfortable. I think one of the things that he keeps mentioning, his brother, him, is he wants to feel comfortable with the coaching staff. Stability is one of the big things that he said. I remember if you paid attention to some of the the Pro Bowl interviews, and then some of the things that his brother even said, like that they're looking at stability from the coaching staff, the ownership. So whatever team offers that is probably going to have the best chance of getting him. But the thing is the Raiders are not allowing him to speak to every NFL team. It's only the teams that they've chosen for him. So the first team that they have allowed for him to visit is the New Orleans Saints. So we have to believe that New Orleans Saints have pretty much said, okay, we'll trade Derek Carr for this amount, and then now it's up to Derek Carr. If he wants to go to the Saints, the deal, to me, in my opinion, is done on the Raiders' part. They're just waiting for Derek Carr to say, yes, let's go, let's make this happen.
And if they're the first team, that probably alludes to tell me that they might be the team that's offering the most compensation, because that's the first team that the Raiders are allowing him to go see and visit. So they probably have the biggest offer on the table. So the Raiders are going to see, hey, is this somewhere that you want to go? Look, it's going to be interesting. What do you think the Raiders could overall get? Do you think that this is going to be a second round pick, or do you think that the Saints are desperate enough that they would be willing to give up that first round draft pick for Derek Carr?
Yeah, definitely desperate enough. I'm like, yeah, because quarterback's been an issue for them since Drew Brees retired.
Right.
To be honest with you, so they're definitely desperate. And their first round pick is number 29. You know what I mean? It's not like it's.
Hey, I will say this: if you do want Anthony Richardson, and you get that 29th pick or 27th pick, whatever it is they have, you can take the best defensive player on the board, whether a Devon Witherspoon or whatever the case may be, at 7, or maybe you trade back a little bit and get a little bit more draft capital.
That's what
And
I'm
then
saying.
and then at the back end of that first round, if your guy is there and you believe in him and you want to give him an opportunity.
No, I think Anthony Richardson could go in the top 15, top 16.
Oh, you
I
think?
know a lot of people feel that, okay, he needs some time to develop, but it's just the value of the position that he's playing. Like, I think teams really value him. I think that he could possibly get drafted. Now, if he drops at number 29, cool. I think that in my eyes, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. Like, I think that if the Raiders are able to get something with Derek Carr, then it makes taking a guy like Anthony Richardson, who Dave Z's reportedly gone to see in person in a game where Anthony Richardson put on a show. And so they're looking at him, but we'll see, man. Like, there can go a lot of different ways. You can look at Anthony Richardson, but then also you could be like, hey, if the Raiders get a first round pick, they could trade up.
Yeah.
And if one of those quarterbacks get to number 4, they can try to get in that top 5. We had Mo Moton the last time we went live, and he made a good point. He said that going from 7 to 5 is not a huge jump.
Mm-hmm.
You could trade spots, maybe throw in a second round pick, third round pick. Boom.
I think if you're going to want to get your guy, I think you have to give the Colts some serious compensation sitting there at 4. Because I think the Colts are all in of getting their quarterback. And if your quarterback is CJ Stroud and say Bryce Young is already taken, I don't know, unless the Colts are the Colts and they go out there and take Will Levis at 4, which would be a huge reach. But I think you have to get up into that 4 range if you want to go out there and get a guy.
Let me ask you this. All right. So if Derek Carr, okay, because obviously he's scheduled to visit the Saints tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
But what team do you feel like he should consider over the Saints? Let's say, like, if you're a Derek Carr, you're like, would you go to the Saints, or what team would you want to go?
The Saints do make sense. I see it, and I would 100% get why Derek Carr would decide to go to the Saints. I mean, you got Michael Thomas, you've got a former coach who drafted you, you've got a good defense. You're in a division that's difficult, or not difficult right now. It's pretty much wide open. But to me, also there's a good team. I think the Jets have a good thing going right now, and I think that they've got a young, talented defense who flies around and makes plays on the ball. I think that they've got young, promising playmakers on the outside. They've got a decent running back. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's in the Big Apple. There's a lot of attention. Derek Carr would get a ton of publicity. He'd probably be one of the better Jets quarterbacks that there's been in quite some time. And I think he would come in and that offense would move pretty smoothly. And then you have a really competitive defense. And Nathaniel Hackett. So, yeah, that's rough. But no, I think the Jets would be a nice fit. Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay is in a bit of a cap situation, so I don't necessarily see DC going to Tampa Bay. Right now, though, man, I think the New Orleans Saints, I think the New York Jets would be a decent one that he has to take a look at. And I've said it for a while now. I think an under-the-radar one is the Houston Texans, given the amount of family ties that he has with that organization. They just went out there and made a huge head coach hiring. And I mean, that's a great thing for the Houston organization because I think they killed it. You know what I mean? So I think the Houston Texans is another under the underrated, under the radar type of team to go to. So
Hold on
Saints,
1 second,
Jets,
bro. I'll be right
Texans.
back.
Yeah, you're good. So let's go. Let's go. Anthony Provencio says Saints or Bucks for Carr, and I could see that. I just think, Anthony, I just think that the Bucks are in a situation financially that they can't go out there and afford to go get a Derek Carr. They're going to have to overhaul that roster completely. So yeah, and also everybody that's in the building, please smash that like button. Let everybody know where you're at tonight. Thank you guys for tuning into our show and spending some times with us. Uh, Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and smash that like button. Shoot this video up the algorithm because it is a real thing, you guys. If you shoot this video up the algorithm, it helps other Raider fans find you. And look, more people come into the show, and it makes a better interaction for me and you. SVT says he should go to the Jets, and I agree. I mean, you've got a really good young competitive defense and a lot of and a lot of weapons. Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed we have. Yep, Chris Olave would be nice. Rashid Shaheed. Like I said, young talent over there in New Orleans. New Orleans has a lot of things going on for them as well. Jets fans want Carr. Good. And I think all this does is it brings up the asking price for Derek Carr. And all that does is benefit the Raiders. So the fact that he has multiple teams lined up and that are interested, it does nothing good but for the Raiders organization to let him go and visit these teams, to garner interest, to raise that value, because arguably Derek Carr is probably the best quarterback on the open market. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. He's probably the best QB on the market right now. So Alfredo says the Saints probably make the most sense for Carr. It could. Dome and low taxes. It makes sense, especially if they're willing to take on to that contract. Raider Way says Carr goes from Sin City to a Saint. It would fit, right? It would fit. That would make sense. Jerome Clemens says the Saints got a free pick they didn't have in Sean Payton trade. I think they plan on giving us that and make sure that they get Carr without a bid war in free agency. That would make sense. That would make sense a lot. T. Severe says Carr spends all day blocking people on Twitter. He couldn't take the New York media. Oh, that's true. Furthermore, Carr's never won a game.
And that's what I was gonna say before I go. I just don't feel like it's a good fit. Like on paper, it sounds like it's, oh yeah, you got the defense and you got the young receivers, you got, you know what I mean, guys that are, you know, blossoming at, you know, offensive side of the football. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. They got a young running back who did get hurt last year, but he's talented. I get where you're going with this, but that being said, it's just I don't know if New York in that cold, in that media where there's going to be a lot of pressure because Derek Carr, when he goes there, it's going to be like win now mode. Like, you know what I mean? Like that coaching staff, they're literally on if they don't win next year, then they might go a different direction. I think they might. So it's going to be a lot of pressure from the coaching staff. It's going to be a lot of pressure from the media. I'm not sure if Derek Carr wants to go that route. I think and one of the things that he says, he's looking at stability. He's going to be looking at ownership and yada, da, da. I don't know if New York Jets would be that team. I think it would be somewhere in the NFC South. Maybe I know you said early on, I said you said the Texans, but even the Texans, like, why would you want to go to the Texans when they're like, you know, they might be an up and coming team. They're still developing, but they're still kind of like, he's trying to win, and it's not a guarantee to win in Houston. It might be a fit possibly because he, you know, family knows that team well, but yeah, I just think that
the reports that were coming out about him, how he wanted stability at the head coach. You got a hiring, and it's a huge hiring for the Texans. I think they actually nailed it as far as hiring their head coach.
Yeah.
They absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
Locking in that 6-year deal. I mean, that would be huge for a guy like DC. Now, obviously, I think they're going to go the direction of a young quarterback in the Houston Texans. I'm sure Bryce Young is going to be a Houston Texan. You get a rookie deal with the defensive-minded coach. You know that he's going to throw a ton of talent on the defensive side of the football, and there's going to be a lot of players that are going to want to go out to Houston, specifically defensive free agents, to go out there and play in that scheme and system. So I think it's not going to be too long, and I think Houston's going to be a team to talk about in that division as well. You know, you've got the Titans, you've got the Colts, you've got the Jags, and I think if Houston plays their cards right, they really nail the quarterback position, and their head coach brings in the defensive guys that I think he's going to bring in. I don't think Houston is too far off from competing in that division.
Yeah, it's not like it's a tough division. It's not like, you know, because Titans got some things to figure out. The Jaguars are still kind of like, I know they went to the playoffs. I know they got a young QB that's getting better under Doug Peterson, but they're still, they're still developing. Like it's not like a Kansas City Chiefs type situation
Right.
where they're like locked in as division winners. Like anything can happen. It's a year-to-year league. You know what I mean? It's game. So in my opinion, I think for me, I think it's the NFC South, and I guess AFC South will be right behind them if he's looking at divisions and teams to look at. But that's just my opinion. That's how I look at it. But yeah, man. Hey, man. Like I'm just excited that we can possibly get picks for Derek Carr. That's where I'm at. Like I'm like, oh my god, please let's. If we get a third rounder, I'll be good with that. Like
No,
instead of
I
him
think it's
walk,
gonna be more than that. It's gonna
yeah,
be
I
more than
think it's
that.
gonna be more than that. But I'm just saying that instead of
Yeah.
having him walking, literally he can go. And we won't get anything. So that's better than anything. I think that
But yeah, you're right. And at the does a team I don't know if it's in the best interest for Derek Carr to go out there and create a bidding war for himself because does another team go out there and pay him $40 million a year, you think? Or do you think he could even get more? Like
mm,
you almost want a team to take on the contract that he currently has because it's actually a pretty significant contract, especially on the back end of those years. I know it's not a lot of guaranteed money, but when you're talking about base salary, he might want to be traded. You might want a team to give up draft capital to go and get him.
you know what I was thinking too, and this is what people have thrown this around too as well. Do you think that the Raiders uh keep Derek Carr past the deadline in order to trade Derek Carr? Because they know they can get draft picks. And in my opinion, draft picks are more valuable than cap space. So if you
I guess it would come down to would Derek Carr be willing to waive that trade clause if they were to go past that date? Because I know his team has come out and said, "Hey, we're not going past February 15th. Like February 15th, that's when like it is what it is." So if they don't make it past that 15th point, I think Derek Carr might want to be released. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to get released and get involved in a situation where you might not make as much money? And now the leverage goes into that organization that's trading for you because now they don't have to give up draft capital. Now they can say, hey, look, your market price went from us paying you $40 million a year on your contract that you have with the Raiders to now the most offer you're getting is $35 million a year. And they can now lower his number. So if I'm Derek Carr, I want a team to show the commitment. You know, Derek Carr is big on that. DC wants an organization that's rallied behind him, that believes in him. What better way than having an organization go out and give up draft capital for you and to show that commitment?
it'd be funny if Derek Carr goes and visits New Orleans. Is like, all right, I'll see y'all next week. You know
Oh,
what I mean? And
yeah,
he signs a new contract or whatever the case may be, and just because he could easily do that, right? How would they know?
he
He's
could.
having private
I'm
conversations
sure. I'm sure
with
there's.
Dennis Allen, and they're sitting down like, hey, like, come on, like
They're like, how do we
we
finesse
we
this
we
thing?
we we, we we need that first round pick, man. We're trying to get you another weapon. We're trying to get it. We're trying to upgrade the defense so then you look. You know what I mean? Like
Then it sounds like, all right, look, you know what they did to me. You know what they did to you. Like they're trying to do a backdoor deal.
you know what I mean?
No,
Like
I'm
it's
sure that there's something probably in place. There's probably some type of weird contract behind the scenes, some type of mutual business agreement that they're like, hey, look, no
like a Raider,
conversations about.
representatives in the room. Like y'all can
Yeah,
go ahead and talk. Y'all can
yeah,
go ahead and talk.
yeah. Josh McDaniels is Skyping in, listening to
Something, man,
conversations.
because it's a weird situation. It's like no trade clause, but then you want to trade him for something, but then he is like, because he could easily just talk to a team, and that's the reason why Derek Carr is not. He doesn't have that opportunity to talk to all these NFL teams, is because the Raiders haven't allowed it, and they don't feel like it's in their best interest to have Derek Carr talk to all these NFL teams. So then they could like work out a deal, and then the Raiders are kind of left out of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's part of the reason why Derek Carr has only spoken to, just from what we know, is obviously it's been reported that he's going to be going to talk to New Orleans Saints tomorrow.
And to be honest, I'd be more than happy if it was a second round pick, even if we don't get that first round pick. If we get a second round pick, you get back what you invested into DC. DC was taken in the second. If you got 9 years of production and you get that value back in a trade and they take that contract, hey, I'm washing my hands. I'm happy.
I'm good with any pick. Any
Seventh
pick is
rounder?
better than no picks. Any
Seventh
pick is
rounder?
7th rounder is pretty sad,
That's
but,
pretty rough.
that's rough. That's kinda disrespectful. It's so
That
disrespectful
would
that
only that'd be disrespectful. Just
yeah,
release him.
I don't Dave Z probably wouldn't do it because I think it would just look so bad,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, why would he
No,
even
I think I know a lot of people might not think like, oh, Derek Carr is not going to get that much compensation. I think we actually might be surprised. And by surprised, I mean if the Raiders get a second round pick, that's a win. That's a win in my eyes. If the
e
Raiders get a first round pick,
yeah. Hey, and I don't know if there's any New Orleans Saints fans in the chat that's watching. How do y'all feel, man? How do y'all feel about Derek Carr coming to the Saints? Like,
yeah,
are you just because I know that the Saints have been, it probably sucks to watch the Saints play because they have I don't say they have everything, but that quarterback position has been since Drew Brees left, and even Drew Brees last year, it was tough to watch. Like he wasn't the same player that he was in his prime. So like, do, are you excited that Derek Carr is going to come to the Saints? I mean, hey, there's plenty of weapons. Chris
there could be
Olave, Michael
another.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Possibly if
yeah.
he's ever healthy. You got that running back. Alvin Kamara, you know what I mean? If he's still got anything left in the tank, he's still gonna be because he's been year in, year out, he's been that guy. So we'll see. And then his situation might be ugly too, if you think about it, because remember coming into last season, it was reported that he might miss the season because of
Yeah.
that whole Las Vegas incident. Now that court date was pushed off until after the season, so that's why he played the full season. Now 2023 is coming up. Now, it's gonna be tough. They might be looking to upgrade that running back room in the draft, possibly.
You think a team like the Niners would go out and make a move for DC?
I think they would be willing to sign him, possibly.
I
Because
mean,
think about it,
look at what they did.
Purdy's
Yeah,
out. You don't know when he's gonna coming back. Like they're saying optimistic, they're being optimistic about him being ready for training camp, but then that's gonna be tough. Tom Brady was a guy that was, reportedly, linked to them. Obviously, he's retired. So we'll see how long that lasts. You know how Tom Brady is. Last year, he said the same thing, and then he came back. So we'll see. I mean, the 49ers was his childhood team, the team that you rooted for, and they're ready to go. They're ready to win now,
right now.
right now. So I could see that happen, but I don't see the 49ers trading for Derek Carr, though.
Nah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
see it
think so.
happening.
Hey,
Yeah,
I know this won't happen, but this is just a fun conversation. Would you give up DC for Trey Lance straight up?
uh, I don't know, man. You talked about Trey Lance with me before. Like Trey Lance, he still has room to grow. He has
Yeah.
that potential. We understand that he was a top 3 pick, the 49ers, but it doesn't really make sense for the 49ers to let go of Trey Lance. Like they gave up so much to get into that spot to draft him. It doesn't even make sense. But that being said, if that were to happen, it would just be one of those like we'll see. Like wait and see moves. Like I don't know. Like I wouldn't be super excited because from what I've seen from Trey Lance, I'm like, it was he didn't really blow me away as far as like a player that looked good out there. Like you could see a little bit of talent there, but it just in my eyes, I'm like, damn, you had all that talent around you. Why weren't you dominating?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Like Purdy, a 7th round pick, went out there and put up numbers.
Slinging the rock.
Exactly. Garoppolo was supposed to leave the Niners, but he played. I don't know. Trey Lance is kind of one of those guys. Like maybe he might be a late bloomer. Maybe he needs more time to develop. He's just, and the 49ers just are ready to win now. So it doesn't match up. So then it makes him look worse. So, who knows what his situation is. But it would be a move where I'm just like, tomato, tomato. I'm really not going.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, Raider Way says Trey lost. That's hilarious.
No, but man, overall, I'm excited about the direction. I'm excited about this draft too because we're gonna have a lot of content to come out. I've got a lot of conversation. I've got a lot of players that have been scouting. There's a lot of guys that have been high on. I think this draft defensively is something to look out for, specifically in the trenches, on the outside, on the boundaries, at the cornerback position. I think you can get depth on the interior of the offensive line. There's just by going through some of the film on some of the guys, and I've sent you some of the names of some of the guys that I've been looking at. I was able to scout a little bit more this week as well, more
Yeah.
of those late round, those fourth, fifth, sixth round picks, and I want to see what Dave Ziegler can do with a lot of drafts. That's why I don't want to see him give up the first pick for Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to see him give up a ton of draft capital for, a 39, 40-year-old quarterback. I want to see what Dave Ziegler can do in a draft. I want to see his ability to find talent. I want to see if he can nail a first round draft pick. I want to see if he can hit on rounds 2 through 7 and, and come out with 60 to 70% success rate on player buy-in. And these are things that I'm curious about, because you have to bring up the question, like, look, I have to know how good Dave Ziegler is at drafting, just in case the day that Josh McDaniels is gone. What if Dave Ziegler stays around and is the guy hiring our next head coach? Can we trust a guy like Dave Ziegler to go out there and build a sufficient roster? And that's what I'm really curious to see what Dave Ziegler can do, because to me personally, I'm a guy who really likes Dave Ziegler. I like Dave Ziegler far more than I like Josh McDaniels. And I would be completely okay if Dave Ziegler was the guy hiring our next head coach. Is that to be seen? We don't know. We don't know if these two are tied together, but I want to see what Dave Ziegler can do with a full draft and what that outcome would be.
Yeah. Nah, he's super aggressive too from what we've seen. I mean, even his last year in New England, he was the de facto GM where, obviously Bill Belichick, because he was supposed to go to Denver in 2020 or 2021 until Bill Belichick made a call, brought him back, gave him more power. And then, the rest is history that, that offseason where the Patriots had a lot of cap space to sign some players. It was the first year without, Tom Brady, and they went ahead and they were super aggressive in free agency, and part of that was Dave Z. And then he comes fast forward to the Raiders. You see him make trades for Davante Adams, but I will say this: that Davante Adams, you gotta. That's more. It was more. It was. I'll give him all props for making that trade, but now that time has gone by and we know what actually happened, it was more Davante Adams and Derek Carr that made that happen.
Right.
Let's be real. Like, you know what I mean? But overall, yeah, he's super aggressive. Yeah, like you said, we still need to see what he can do with a full draft, which is fair. But at the end of the day, like, man, I don't know, man. I'm the with Josh McDaniels, like we'll see, because because how do you feel about the Chandler Jones signing then?
Chandler Jones.
Yeah, Chandler Jones.
I think this offseason, if you go out there and you land a guy like a Daron Payne, maybe you're sitting there at 7 and maybe Jalen falls to pick 3 or 4 and you want to bundle up some draft and go up and get Jalen. Say you go out and get Aaron Rodgers, you want to make a move, go get a Jalen Carter then. If you're going to go get Aaron Rodgers, go solidify the interior of this defensive line. Let's create the nastiest front 7. Because let's just be honest, Aaron Rodgers has a $15 million cap hit towards the cap. He has 50 some million dollars in cash money, which the Raiders organization cash up front have to give Aaron Rodgers. But his cap hit on the salary is only 15 million. So in that aspect, you can still go out there and get a Levante David. You could go out there and grab a Daron Payne. And if you miss out on a Daron Payne, maybe you get Aaron Rodgers and you bundle up that pick and move up and go get a premier superstar player in Jalen Carter. This is the guy that is circled at number 1 on my big board. I don't care what player you're trying to put, what scenario you're trying to put. Jalen Carter is going to be a difference maker at the next level, and he's exactly what a guy like Chandler Jones needs. If you go out there, get a Daron Payne, a Jalen Carter, immediately I think you salvage what you have in Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones needs somebody on the interior to create pressure, get after the quarterback, and that frees up those ends. We've seen it when Jerry Tillery came over from the Chargers, right? And it only lasted a game or two, but you've seen the uptick in production from Chandler Jones just by a little bit of help on the interior of this defensive line. So you go out there and you get a star-studded defensive tackle like Daron Payne, or you go get a Jalen Carter, a guy who's just nasty in the trenches, extremely good with his hands, can get back and get after the quarterback. I think Chandler Jones revitalizes his career at that position. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think he was actually playing good ball there for a while. It just wasn't adding up in the sack column, and I think a lot of fans look at the sack totals, but he was doing a lot of things, especially when it came to run gap discipline, sealing the edge, generating some type of pressures. He was doing an okay job at that. It's just the sack totals weren't there this season.
I agree. If Jalen Carter's there at 7, or if they were able to trade up to like 5, 6 if he drops, because it's the only way that I feel like the Raiders can get him is if he drops somehow, some way. And then they trade up maybe because he's there. But a guy like Deron Payne, do you feel like 20 mil at that position? Would you pay that much for a
To be
D
honest with
tackle?
you, I would. At 25 years old, coming off 11 and a half sacks, you're giving Chandler Jones what, 15 and a half million? And he produced what, 4.5? I don't know what his number was right off the top of my head. Maybe 4.5 sacks on the year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out there and pay a 25-year-old interior defensive tackle top money because the Raiders defense need that much help. I mean, you almost owe it to this offense, and specifically you owe it to Patrick Graham and Max Crosby and Chandler Jones to go out there and get real help. Go get
Mhm.
Deron Payne. Me personally, if I feel like the potential is there and you get another first round pick, maybe bundle that up and go get Jalen. Maybe that's your guy and you have him circled. Regardless of the two, go out there and make a difference maker inside the trenches. Go get Jalen, go get Deron Payne. If you have to pay Deron Payne $20 million, maybe that's one of those routes where you're hoping you go out and get a CJ Stroud or something. You know, you have a rookie deal and you can throw a ton of money to the defensive side of the football. If you go out and get CJ, then yeah, you can go out there and pay Deron Payne $20 million. You could go out there and give Davante David a $10 million contract. You know, you can go out there and do those things. Maybe, like I said earlier, go out there and grab you a veteran corner to put on the outside. It's time that the Raiders invest significant money into the defensive side of the football. And I know that spending money doesn't necessarily generate success. But right now, if you throw money at the right people, like I don't think Chandler Jones was a wrong person to throw money at. I think it was a situation to where you have to put pieces around him to succeed. So this is your opportunity to go up there and upgrade that defensive tackle spot.
But
So yeah,
how many players in free agency? And I don't want to put you in the spot because I'm sure like there's like
right.
free agency. That's going to be a whole different show that we're going to talk about. But there's probably not going to be a lot of players that you're probably going to be like, oh, we're going to put that much cap space, or we're gonna pay that much money to a guy in free agency. Like you mentioned Deron Payne, but no, and I'm just saying, like, yeah, we should definitely be aggressive in signing defensive players, but like, should they be that aggressive though? Like, you know what I mean? Especially with how the way Dave Z was talking, he made it seem like, yeah, they're gonna try to make some moves to upgrade this roster, but I'm not sure if they're gonna go. They might have one guy circled in free agency where they're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna sign him to a big contract, and then everybody else is gonna be like guys that could fit roles on the team. And I agree. They should put a big emphasis on the defensive side of football, but I'm not sure if there's gonna be a lot of players in free agency where you could be like, okay, we should throw the bag at him.
Okay, so let me give you a situation.
So there's
If
Ron Payne is a popular one, but what's another guy? You know what I mean?
Levante
Like
David,
or
Tremaine
if
Edmonds,
Jalen Ramsey, you know what I mean? Do you see a guy
I'm
like
out.
Jalen being traded to the Raiders?
If it's between Payne and Ramsey, I'm going to Ron Payne because
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay a guy like Ramsey. And look, your production on the back end of the defense is not going to be that good if your front seven can't get after him. It's pivotal that the Raiders focus on the front seven. The linebackers in this draft, it isn't that exciting. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Outside of the top few guys, you know, your Drew Sanders, the kid out of Clemson. There's a few linebackers in this draft where you're like, okay, yeah, they could come in and fit in the system, but it's not that special of a draft at the linebacker spot. You know, it's really defensive back heavy. I think you could draft defensive backs, which tells me that the Raiders, you're going to get the Raiders blueprint. You really are. If the Raiders go out there and invest money in the linebacker position in free agency, you know that they're not too high on people in the draft. So if they go out there and get a Levante David or they go out and get a Tremaine Edmonds, let me throw this situation at you. If you have the opportunity to get Jalen Ramsey, Deron Payne, Levante, or Tremaine Edmonds, of those four, because they're probably the biggest defensive free agents on the market, who are you going to go get?
Say that again. I'm reading the chat, man. They haven't cracked me up
Deron Payne,
right
Levante David, Jalen Ramsey, Tremaine Edmonds.
I want to do the move that actually provides us to make multiple new moves. So I like the Levante David move. I like Deron Payne. I'm not saying that's a bad move, but like, man, if we can go into the draft and we have 11 picks and they feel like, hey, if they feel like D tackle, Salute to Ray the Tape. Salute to
What's going
everybody
on,
that's
Ray?
pulled up, man.
Shout
We
out to
see
you,
y'all,
bro.
man. We're gonna make some time to talk to y'all in a second, man, because we haven't talked in a minute. Me and Ray. So and
And
Ray,
shout
and
out to Ray the
there's
Tape
another Ray in
too.
the chat. Oh my God, we got a couple of Rays
Got
in
a
here,
bunch of
man.
Rays in here. But no, Ray the Tape, shout out to you. I just ordered my Redemption brand hat. So my hat's gonna be here this Saturday. So just
Yes,
showing some
sir.
love to Raid. So everybody who hasn't yet, man, go over to Redemption brand. Go get you a hat. Go get you a shirt. He's got probably the best
Salute to
fit.
Lunatic, man. Appreciate you coming
Yeah, he's
through.
got the
Salute to
best fit in
everybody,
Raider
man.
Nation. So much love to you, Raid.
And hey, you guys can't forget to, you know what I'm saying? You guys can't hit that like button, you know what I mean? Just make sure to hit that like button.
Raid.
That had me cracking
My
up. I
office.
see that.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Hey man, it's gonna come with a fee, man. It's gonna come with a fee. Hey man, but yeah, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to my guy Raider Ray, and obviously myself as well, Pharaoh NFL. We switch off. We do I was gonna say we do a weekly show, but that was during the season. But we do go live and we switch it up. So you want to make sure you subscribe to both channels, Pharaoh NFL and obviously Raider Ray. And then like the video, man, because that algorithm is very real. So we need the support so we can keep coming back and doing these lives, you know, posting content, man. And yeah, man, we appreciate the support. We appreciate everybody coming through. But yeah, man, we just wanted to talk football. We wanted to talk about Derek Carr. That it's funny. We're going to talk about Derek Carr, but we did not know that this was going to happen right before we were going to go live. Like this literally popped up on our feeds, and Derek Carr, you know, going to the Saints could be a possibility. Obviously, all the Aaron Rodgers rumors. We heard that. Personally, I don't want Aaron Rodgers to come to the Raiders. I want us to go cheap at that position and just build this roster, build this defense, and just have a young rookie quarterback or a cheap option at quarterback until they figure out who's going to be a long-term answer at that position. Because if you're looking at all the best teams, the teams that you see in the Super Bowl, they all kind of follow that same formula. You know what I mean? And I know people could probably be like, oh, look at the Chiefs. They're, you know, but look at what they did. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are like the exception to the rule, like an all-time quarterback and an all-time coach. But for the most part, you've seen a lot of teams with young QBs at the position on a cheap contract. I think that's where the Raiders need to do. I feel like they should draft quarterback. And I know I'm talking about quarterback when we need to address our defensive needs. But what I'm saying is, let's go cheap at that position so then we can address all of our needs, which is defense, offensive line. Have you seen some of these mock drafts? Man, I seen a mock draft where they had 2 offensive linemen going in our first 2 picks. And I'm like, oh my, are you serious?
People that probably don't follow the Raiders.
Man, come on, man. Like, you serious?
At 7?
At 7 and at number, and it was actually I don't know I think it was Matt Miller. So he's like a big
I was
football
about to
guy.
shut the stream down if you were about to say Mel Kiper.
No,
you don't read him.
No, not Mel Kiper. No, it was some dude. Matt Miller. I think his name was Matt Miller. I think he did a recent mock draft, and you know he's pretty respected around the NFL. Like a lot of people pay attention to his mock drafts, and he did a 2-round mock draft, and he had the Raiders taking an offensive lineman on number 7 and in the second round, which I thought was interesting. I'm sure that he's probably thinking like, oh, okay, the Raiders are gonna go get Aaron Rodgers, so they need to protect a quarterback. But like, man, like, does it make any, you know, that's a whole different conversation for another day, man. But it is what it is, man. But we appreciate everybody coming through, man. Let's get into the chat, man. Let's see what's up with them.
I need to go way back up because I'm sure we missed quite a bit of good stuff here.
Yeah, man. We were just talking, and then we're like, man, like I noticed that we haven't.
There goes an hour. All right. So Raiders Allegiance says if Carter isn't there, who would be next in line at defensive tackle? Brees. I think if Carter isn't your guy at defensive tackle, I don't think Will Anderson and Jalen Carter is going to be off the board. To be honest with you, I'm not going to go defensive tackle then at 7. If I'm there, I'm going Devon Witherspoon. I think, me personally, he was one of the most fun players I've watched on tape probably in the last 2 to 3 seasons. I just think he is going to be an absolute playmaker. You get this type of corner on a rookie deal with a 5th-year option. He's going to be a very, very well household name type of DB. I think he fits really well in the Patrick Graham scheme. Man, zone, off, press. He can play every position all over the field, and it's extremely impressive. He's long, he's tall, he's everything that the Raiders need in a defensive back. So if that's the situation, I'm probably going to go Devon Witherspoon. That's my pick at 7. And then there's that discussion of trading back. If CJ Stroud is off the board, if Witherspoon is off the board, if Carter's off the board, for me personally, in my taste, I'm opening up to trading down a little bit. And I'll take more draft compensation, and I'll continue to throw talent on this roster.
Witherspoon is your guy at corner?
Yeah.
Hey,
at 7,
it's a good draft for cornerbacks.
It's a really good draft. And I'm not typically that high on taking a DB that high unless he is the real deal, unless his tape just jumps off to me and is like, no, this is a guy worthy of a top 10 pick. And let me tell you, I will double down and say Witherspoon is definitely worth a top 10 pick. He's that good. So he's the only DB I'm going to say that about right now. There is the kid out of Oregon. I have to finish up his tape. I think he's a really good defensive back. Before I give a final assessment, I've got to watch everything that I need to watch on him. But for sure, for me at 7, I'm comfortable with taking Witherspoon. And like I said, of those names that I gave, if they're not on the board, I'm trading back and I'm getting more value.
Vicky Everett says, "Who is Mel Kiper?"
Yeah, exactly. Just keep it that way. You don't need to know.
Yeah, you don't need to know. Forget about it. Oh man.
Let's see. Raider Way says defensive draft. He says Bradbury. Bradbury would be a nice.
Yeah, I could see that. He's gonna get paid. He's gonna want to get good contract. He had a good year out with the Eagles, which is still going, man. This is Super Bowl week, man. We even talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Who you got winning?
I mean, obviously, I want to say the Eagles, but I just think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, man, they're kind of doing their thing. I do think defensive wins championships, and the Philadelphia Eagles are just different. Their front is different. I think if they get after Patrick Mahomes, make him really – I don't know how healthy that ankle is. I know I'm sure all the reports are saying his ankle's healthy, but I would do as much as I could to force him to the side of that ankle and to make him roll out on that ankle as much as possible throughout that game. And I think if there's one team that can do it, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm curious to see in the Super Bowl if they do that.
Hey, you already know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I'm going for the Eagles.
I'm wearing the Eagle green right now. I'm rooting for the Eagles. So I just hope that their defense could just dominate that game. That's pretty much where it's going to be at. But but we'll see, man. Like we know what Patrick Mahomes is. We know what Andrew Reid could do as a coach, but that's going to be an interesting matchup for sure.
SVT is a good point. He says it helps us that the Pro Bowl was at our facility. A lot of players were looking around and like this.
Ooh, yeah.
Smart move.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like that, SVT. I like that. LV says bring back Kwiatkowski if he's healthy. You know what? I'm kind of cool off of Kwiatkowski. You know, I wasn't the biggest fan. I don't really want him, but you know, LV, if you're talking about a depth piece, talking about like your third or fourth linebacker, I get it, you know, but that's not the guy that I want for 3 downs. I think the Raiders need to go out and get like a Davante David.
Yeah, facts.
Ray says,
unless he comes back on a super cheap deal, veteran minimum.
Yeah, but does he turn the needle for this defense? Let's be honest.
No, he doesn't.
We need somebody to come in here and just completely wreak havoc, stepping into their prime, ready to go. That's what I'm looking for. Ray says, why does everyone keep bringing up Ramsey like he's a free agent? Gonna have to give up serious capital for Ramsey. I'm not doing it.
It's because our defense is lacking in a lot of different positions. You know what I mean? Especially cornerback. We don't have a true shutdown corner. We don't have a number 1 corner. Last year, even when we're healthy, guys out there, Rocket Sin, do you see him as a number 1 corner? In my opinion, I don't see that. Obviously we've seen, Nate Hobbs, he might just be better suited as a nickelback, you know what I mean, in the slot, because he did struggle. I mean, he did play well before he kind of got out, before he got hurt, but still, I'm not sure if he fits in this defense on the outside. I don't know. I just think a guy like Nate Hobbs, he's good at what he does. I don't think he's a number 1 corner. So you got to think that like the Raiders are probably looking to upgrade that position. And safety, man, there's so many different positions. Linebacker, safety,
every level. Every level. The Raiders can't go wrong adding talent to every level of this defense. And you made a good point about Nate Hobbs. I think let Nate Hobbs get kicked back inside. Go get a veteran. And if you're sitting at 7 and you want a Witherspoon, go get Witherspoon to play outside of a guy like a James Bradbury and kick Nate Hobbs back inside the slot where he dominated his rookie year and really create a really nasty secondary. That'd be nice to see, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say we got to address the front 7 first. Let's see. Drake Thomas from NC State is a mid to late round pick. He looks all right. You'll have to check out his tape. I'll have to check out his tape. There's a few linebackers that I've started to watch. Like I said, hit or miss. A lot of late round picks that you're going to take as a project, and obviously some of them will pan out and some of them won't. But to me, it's not that heavy of a linebacker class. I'm not that thrilled about it. But you know what? That could change with the more scouting. I still got a month and a half, 2 months until the draft, so I've still got a lot of research to do.
Rated tape says can't remember Rock ever playing bad. Honestly, he had a couple of games where I think he struggles against like speedier corners. I mean, speedier wide receivers. You know what I mean? I think that he does have a weakness when he plays against like speedier receivers. But nah, I think he's a number 2. I like Rocky Sin as a number 2 corner. I'm just saying number 1 corner. I don't know.
Yeah, keep Stidham and draft a QB.
But maybe a pass rush will make him look like a number 1 corner.
No. Look, these guys on the back end will look a lot better if you go out there and address this front 7.
Mm-hmm.
LV Maximus. I'm not going to say that there's like nasty linebackers. There's good linebackers like Drew Sanders. He's a good linebacker. The kid out of Clemson. The thing that is about the kid coming out of Clemson, and it's kind of unique and something that I really liked about his tape is his coverage ability. He's just a freakish athlete. He's going to run sub 4.4s. He lines up in nickel at times. Like Clemson has this guy lining up in nickel at times, covering. He is extremely good at getting after the quarterback. He's just a freak athlete. So he's one of those guys that I would probably take a look at. I'm sure Patrick Graham, based off of the guys that they've been visiting with, all the players that I see reports coming out that the Raiders are visiting, you're talking about linebackers in that 220, 235 range. So you're not talking about huge, big run-stopping type of linebackers. You're talking about sideline-to-sideline linebackers that have speed and coverage ability, which is what I think Patrick Graham is looking for. So, yeah, I'd be looking at more of those 225 range linebackers that are sideline to sideline and that they do some different things with. I think those are the guys that Patrick Graham's going to be keying in on. Raiders Allegiance says CB out of Illinois, right? Yep. Witherspoon is, and he's phenomenal. Anybody that's into watching tape, I suggest you click on his film and just kind of get lost in it a little bit. His coverage ability is just out of this world.
Florida Boy says Marcus Peters at number 2. How do you feel about Marcus Peters?
Marcus Peters? You know what? I would take him, but I'm not going to pay a ton of money for him. He's one of those guys that it's hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like he's going to play.
I think he wants to come to the Raiders. I have a feeling.
I'd imagine. I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think he wants to come, but
he would be fun fit. He would be a fun player to watch. He'd be one of those fan players.
Yeah, and he's a playmaker. He's a dog. He's physical, but
he's not a good tackler. So when it comes to run defense,
and you could pick on him too.
You can pick on him. I mean, he might get a couple picks here and there, but he's going to get burnt quite a bit. Yeah, and he's starting to get up there in age a little bit.
Yeah, he's like 30, and he came back from a serious injury, so I don't know if it's going to be a good fit. Like,
D-Minute says subscribe to Raid. Yeah, go over to Raid the Tape and
yes, sir. Raid. Go ahead and do so. Go ahead and do that.
Ray speaking smart football, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, man.
Raider Kojo, salute Raider Allegiance.
Appreciate you coming.
Y'all take Joey Porter Jr. To me,
honestly, dirty man. I see you in the chat.
To me, honestly, Raiders. Look, Joey Porter Jr. is a good corner, and I think he's going to have a good NFL career. I really do. I think he's going to do good at the next level. If you're talking about putting him on the category of Witherspoon, the kid out of Oregon, I'm still going to take those two over Joey Porter. Joey Porter's probably 3rd or 4th on my board right now. I know he's getting a lot of hype, and I'm sure the combine he's going to kill it, and he's going to put up numbers that everybody's they're going to gawk over. But Witherspoon is far and out the number 1 defensive back in this draft. Subscribe to Lunatic. Go over to Lunatic. Subscribe. Salute to Dirty. Shout out to you, Dirty. Auntie 6, what's going on, man?
Salute.
Up. Florida Boy says, I think the Chiefs get smacked. I hope so. I hope so. Hey, but they're in the game. I mean, I'm not gonna hate. They're in the game that we're all trying to get to. So
No, I hope they get blown out. I'll be the hater.
yeah, of course.
You'll take the high road, Ray. I
Oh,
hope they get blown out.
nah, look, I say that because I hate I hate that the Chiefs have dominated this division for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It bugs me so bad, but it's like I want to be that team that takes out that good team, and the Raiders have a long way to go. I just
And this is random. Do you think McDaniels? There's the chance that McDaniels could be that guy.
to be
Like
that
this,
guy.
yeah, head coach. Do you think it's gonna work out? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
To be honest with you,
Let's
no,
keep it real.
no,
I
no.
don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think McDaniels is that guy.
But
I
the
think
players
the
are behind
whole
him though. The players kind of like
I think
they
that they
believe.
really love his preparation. And look, I say that because of obviously emotional coming off of whatever year that we just witnessed. Now, I will say this. They don't even have to have as splashy of an off season as they did last year, as long as they go out there and get the right guys. And if they go out there and get the right guys and show that they can build a defense, look, if Josh McDaniels can bring in a defense that no other regime has brought in the last however long it's been, right? It's been forever since the Raiders have had a defense. Then I'm all for it. And if Josh McDaniels can win and if he can compete in those games with Andy Reid and beat him and you know compete with Sean Payton and beat the Chargers, then I'm all for it. Look, I want Josh McDaniels to succeed. I want Josh McDaniels to be the guy. I want Josh McDaniels to come in here and be the next best thing. Do I necessarily see it? Not yet, I don't. But time will tell. Fly Eagles fly. Facts. Hey, Jets fan here. Love Carr, and I gotta say, who the heck is Mel Kiper? Yeah, facts. Hey, 100%. We should just stick with us.
Jets fan, love Carr. Hey man, hey, first round pick. First round pick. That's all I'm gonna say, man. He's all
Thoughts
yours.
before I get to this. Thoughts on our backup QB? I mean, I like Jarrett. I think Jarrett's gonna be the backup.
I mean, technically,
Um,
he's a free agent, right? So backup QB
oh,
would be
he'll be back. He'll be back.
he'll be back. You think he's back?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Jarrett will be back.
it makes sense for him to come back. He probably thinks
Yeah,
he's gonna have a chance to be the
yeah.
starting QB, and
I
I
think
think
he's
he
gonna be.
possibly can. You know, hey, I would want to stay here because he's been in that offense for 4 now going on 5 years. So now, like, he literally got to work on his game, and then he gives. Hey, you never know.
Well, I mean, look, if you go out there and you build a defense, then and you start Jarrett, and maybe you took a quarterback in the first round, the rookie doesn't have pressure to start right away. You let Jarrett go out there and win. He knows the offense, he knows the terminology, he knows where Josh wants to go with the ball. Let Jarrett ride it out for the first couple games, and if that rookie earns it, then throw the rookie in.
But I'm not gonna lie though, if it's Jared and some other cheap veteran option, and no rookie QB, that's gonna be so disgusting.
No, that's disgusting. If you go Jarrett, you're drafting a quarterback early.
Oh my, that's
Yeah,
like no hope. We
yeah,
gotta hope for Jared Stidham to
yeah.
be the.
Hey, if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, it's rookie quarterback. You
Yeah.
can run to the bank with that one. I don't root for anybody else. I just watch it for football. That's where I'm at. Ray the tape says Ray don't want no scrubs. No, I don't. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you are too, Ray. I'm sure you would agree, right? Raider Way says, "Man, that is so confusing when I read it. I want to say my last name so bad. Way.
Yeah, Raider way.
I don't want Ramsey. No, I'm not big on Ramsey to be honest with you. Just the compensation, the salary that it's going to cost,
And I
and
think he lost a step too, and he's getting
yeah,
his contract. He's getting paid. So
yeah. Rams might be having a wholesale though. They might. We'll see. We'll see. I look with the last few experiments that we've gotten, the LaMarcus Joyners, the Corey Littletons from the Rams. I'm cool off of grabbing anybody from the Rams right now. Let's just
well,
let's
hey,
just
but the thing about the Rams though, we were grabbing players that were like role players around their great players.
yeah, I
So it was
know, but
never their great player.
LaMarcus Joyner was a good football player. Corey Littleton at
But
one
he
time
but he
was.
was a role player in that defense. Like if you were to
Yeah.
you get what I'm
Well,
trying to say?
everybody typically becomes a role player when Aaron Donald is roaming the center, and
But then you got Jalen Ramsey in the back end, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
I thought Dalvin Tomlinson was older. He's still only 28. I wouldn't mind him. Yeah, Dalvin Tomlinson wouldn't be bad. You mean Hargrave is going to be in that conversation. Tomlinson is going to be in that conversation. Me personally, probably Payne. You don't have enough money to go out and get
So we
everybody.
don't have to go 20 million a year to Deron Payne, even though Deron Payne, good player, 25 years old. But I'm just saying that.
Here's the thing: Tomlinson and Hargrave isn't going to get you 10 plus sacks from the interior. That's very rare in the National Football League. Those players that can get you 10 plus sacks on the interior of a defensive line who's
Mhm.
25 years old entering his prime, that just does not, those players do not hit the open market that often. So if you have to pay that much to help guys, look, I watched us throw $15 million at Hunter Renfrow. I watched us throw 15, whatever the money is, to Darren Waller, and I seen the production that they give. I've seen him throw 15.5 million or 17.5 million to Chandler Jones. Deron Payne is coming off 11.5 sacks and is entering the prime of his career. Like, that's a player I'll throw money at, especially.
I would throw in Hunter Renfrow in a trade for Derek Carr. You know what I mean? Like, just hey, you want, hey, just send us this first round pick, maybe a second or third. You know what I mean? We'll throw
Yeah,
in Hunter Renfrow. You know what I mean?
bundle up a few.
Go ahead and take him. That's like an extra, yeah. Like you said, it's a lot of it's a tough contract, especially because now after Derek Carr's situation didn't work out.
Raid says can't remember Rock ever playing bad.
Yeah, we,
Honestly,
we talked about this earlier. Yeah.
okay. Draft defense, Joey Porter. Joey Porter he's an option, just definitely not at 7. Not at 7. I'm not taking Porter. Yep, Hobbs is way better inside. Yeah, let's do that. D-line trenches win the chip. That's fact. Rock Yassin was too busy flexing than playing. Hey, Rock Yassin played well at times, though. He really did.
Nah, he didn't play terrible. It's just he's not a number one corner.
Yeah.
Just not a number one corner.
Jack Campbell's a beast. Marcus Peters is number 2. Does this channel not super chats enabled? Yeah, you should have super chats. I've got super chats enabled. There should definitely be an option.
Yeah, let me see.
If not, maybe I need to go out and update it. Maybe it's been a minute.
That's
No,
weird. It's not giving me that ability.
it isn't.
Yeah.
Well, I'll address it after the show.
Yeah.
Your comments will get read tonight, guys. We're gonna address it. So I appreciate you guys wanting to spend some money, but I'll get to your comment. I promise. And look, when the merchandise does come out, I've got my logo. This is a crew neck. I've got a hoodie over here, and there's some things coming down the pipeline. If you guys want to support the channel that way,
Hey.
then you can do that. But had to do a little bit of rebranding here.
I see, man.
I was gonna ask the same thing. What happened to the super chats ability on this channel? We'll bring it back, Daniel Kim. I'm not too worried about it. I appreciate you guys' support, man. I really do.
Hey, that's weird that it didn't show up, huh?
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, that's random.
It's not something I even thought about, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That Clemson staple of their defense started with Isaiah Simmons. Hey, is Isaiah? Can you look up real quick, Pharaoh? Is Isaiah Simmons a free agent?
He's still on his rookie deal.
Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
But
That's
they're not letting him go. They gave him the green dot this year, so they're all invested in him being that guy.
I like Isaiah Simmons. I think he would do good. Raider fans, do you think we walk away with Carr and you guys get Rodgers? Okay, this is coming from a Jets fan. Raider fans, do you think that we walk away with Carr and you guys get Rodgers? I think you guys are in the bid. I think you guys are in the running for sure. Obviously, I don't know what your front office is thinking. I don't know what the word around your organization is. Does the fan base rally around Carr? Does that organization think highly of Derek Carr? I think he's a decent fit for you guys. I think you guys have a really good, young, talented defense. I think you guys got playmakers, and I think Derek Carr would definitely be the best quarterback that you guys have had in a long time. I think it makes sense on quite a bit of levels. Does Derek Carr want to go to New York? That's the biggest question. And right now, I would say that the Saints are giving the most draft compensation due to Derek Carr flying out there first and the Raiders agreeing that DC can go visit the Saints. Something tells me that the Saints have probably the bigger offer on the table. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, Trent the Great, man. Hey, all I'm going to say, first round pick, man. We'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? We'll just we'll make it happen.
Thoughts on DJ Turner out of Michigan? I like him. I like him too. He's a little bit on the smaller side. Aggressive player, very confident type of player. I'm going to address DJ Turner later too, because I want to kind of get into him. There's a few defensive backs that I want to talk about because there's some that you may not necessarily know all that well, but they deserve the attention. So I'm going to be bringing that to you guys here pretty soon.
Hey, I know Raid is foaming at the mouth, man, because all these cornerbacks in this draft.
Yeah, I know. Look, Raid is a guy who I want to talk to about the DBs in this draft because as I've been watching film, I'm sure he does too. It's like there's a lot of these guys in this draft, man, that I really like, and there's a lot of value. I mean, you're talking from round 1 to round 5, you've got value at the defensive back spot. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
those guys in the 5th round, they're not going to be obviously as high end as the guys in the front, but you're talking about guys who can step into the right situation in a Patrick Graham scheme, playing man coverage. I can come in here and thrive. So I like Gonzo. So yeah, Ray Gonzo's a cool one too. He's a good one. I ask again, like, are us Jets getting Rodgers and the Saints getting Carr, or do you think the Jets get Carr and you guys get Rodgers? Well, it might end up being the Raiders get Rodgers and the Saints get Carr and the Jets don't get any of them. I mean, that's a realistic take too. So
Yeah, because I think the Jets can definitely outbid the Raiders in getting Rodgers, but at the same time, from what I'm hearing, I'm not sure if Rodgers
that's at
wants
the
to play for the
Rodgers.
Jets. Yeah, I'm not sure if the Rodgers, even though Rodgers doesn't like he doesn't have like a no trade clause or anything like that. He's a guy that's getting paid. That's literally playing basically playing year to year. Like he's talking about like should I play this year or not? So obviously, a team that's going to be fully invested in trading for Rodgers, they're going to want to know if they can get Rodgers to play for them. You know what I mean? So I don't think Rodgers wants to go to the Jets, to be honest with you, because he's
No, I
played
don't
with
think so.
a young team and it didn't work. So he wants to play with his guy Davante. I don't. I feel like he wants to play with Davante, if anything.
Yeah, Witherspoon, Bradbury, Rock, Hobbs in the nickel, and Payne, Levante David. Yeah, you're talking about a really good defense. A really good defense.
Hey, don't tell him like that, Ray. Come on, man.
I need to I need to boost our interior defense and offensive line. Yeah, more so the defense than the offensive line, but I hear you. And there's a lot of guys interior wise in this draft that I think you're going to be able to go get. Tackles, there's a few up in like the higher end of the draft, first, second roundish area that I would be willing to take a pick on. Obviously, not at 7. Those are trade back situations, and if you get a guy on the offensive line, it's probably in the second. I think you re-signed Jermaine Illuminor, um, and I think those third rounds, fourth round picks, those where the Raiders have a bundle of picks, I think you see them spend it on the interior of the offensive line. That's my opinion. What do y'all think about Hendon Hooker in the second or third? He's got a high floor.
He tore his ACL right
He did.
last
He
year.
did. To be honest, second, no, I'm not going to do it. Third, if the Raiders had multiple picks in the third, in
I think they do. Let me see.
yeah, do a quick check. If you got multiple picks in the third, maybe it just depends on what direction you want to go. Like I said, you're probably going to address the interior of the lines, both offensively and defensively. In the third, you're also probably going to take a gamble on either a linebacker or a defensive back. Uh, to be honest with you, if he's there late in the third, I might grab him just based off of potential and upside and being probably
Nah,
one
they
of the
don't.
better. They don't.
They
They've
got
got
one third
multiple
round pick.
fourths though.
Nah, they got this is what they have. They got round 1, pick 7, round 2, pick 38, round 3, pick 70, round 4, pick 106, round 5. So they have 2 fifth round picks, 1 sixth round, 1 2 and 2 seventh. 2 seventh.
Is that with all the compensation picks or no?
Not yet. That doesn't
Okay.
come until like, a little bit later in the
Okay.
offseason.
Okay.
Before the
Yeah.
draft, obviously,
Yeah,
but
because I do think that there is a fourth sprinkled in there for some reason, so they could move up in the back end of the third if they wanted. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But to be honest, late third, I don't know if he's in there in the fourth round, but say he was, that's when I would probably get him. I just think there's a few other positions that you could address because I would imagine that the Raiders are going to go out there and make a move, some type of move at quarterback, whether early in the draft or Aaron Rodgers. So getting Hendon Hooker isn't necessarily like my highest priority. Hendon Hooker, Perryman back. I mean, as an insurance policy, yep, maybe.
I like when he's healthy,
I
but,
do too.
obviously but this
Too.
year he did is just his health isn't concerned, but would you pay that much money? I mean, what is he gonna be I mean, like, what does a contract look like for a guy
I mean,
like Perry?
his market's probably going to be 5.5 million, I'd imagine. So, I mean, unless he's signing a team friendly deal and he wants to stay a Raider, then yeah, do it. But just Perryman, he's one of those one trick ponies. You know, he's really good at what he does. Don't get me wrong. He's an incredible run defender. He's a great tackler, a great leader. I really like Denzel Perryman, but for $5.5 million, I think the production of the linebacker unit has spoke for itself.
Yeah.
You guys have some talent. I love the Raiders for what it's worth. I live in Nevada, so I get to watch all your games. Oh, that's cool, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
what's up, man? Appreciate you coming through, man. We got Jets fans in the building.
MP is super long in the tooth. Super chats. Yeah, Vicky, we'll get them. You guys, next show, I promise I'll activate super chats. That way, if you guys want to donate to the show, you guys can donate to the show. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. You guys don't have to do that, but I'm very grateful for that.
Yep.
We have too many picks not to come out with a few starters on both sides of the ball. Yeah, that's if we do it right. That's if we do it right, Raider Room. What's the status on Divine Diablo? I haven't got an update. I mean, I'd imagine come off season OTAs, he's gonna be all right, but we got to see. We got to see if Divine Diablo develops. You know, he has potential, but his coverage ability is not very good. So,
SVT. Hey man, I'm not getting recruited anybody. I'm an Eagles fan this week, going against the in the Super Bowl, obviously. You know what I'm saying?
Raid. We threw 15 million at Renfro, and fans loved it, but cooked me for wanting Roquan Smith. Nah, man, it's facts. We need defensive talent, and if you got to throw that type of money to go out there and get game changers, then do it. You know what? Other organizations are willing to do it. If the Raiders aren't willing to throw 20 million down for a Daron Payne or 10 million down on a Levante David, I can assure you that there's going to be other teams that are willing to line up and have a blank check willing to sign.
So you would have gave up a second round pick and then paid Roquan $20 million a year?
I mean, okay, where the Raiders' defensive position is with their
that's what the Ravens did. They gave up a second round pick, and I forgot maybe a third round pick.
the Ravens though can get after the quarterback a little bit, and Roquan makes that front seven that much better. Like the interior of this defensive line was not good at all. So regardless of who you get interior offensive linemen that are getting up into the second level. None of these linebackers are having that much success because they can't get off the ground. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think you have to address the interior. If the Raiders had a stout interior defender, I know Andrew Billings played well, but I'm talking about a pass rusher. Yeah, I would have gone out there and gave up money for a Roquan. I really would have. Payne also had a good D line around him too. He does, but he's going to have a good defensive line if he comes to Las Vegas. I mean, he's going to have Max Crosby. He's going to demand attention. Chandler Jones is going to demand attention if you bring in a Daron Payne. So he's going from a good situation to a good situation.
Yeah. Hey, and that's a good comment too, Edgar, because look, hey, the Raiders, we have great players on the Raiders. They just need to build around them. They need to build around a guy like Max Crosby, get good role players. Obviously, if we can get a superstar, which is kind of rare, like what's the chances of the Raiders getting a superstar in free agency? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to be that high, but you could get some good role players, and I think they can do that if they do it right.
And check out the you go ahead and read the chat and address some people. I'm going to check out this YouTube studio and see if I can get the monetize tab turned on.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Damn, I wish I could control the let's see, where are you at, Edgar? Let's see.
Here, I'll help you.
You're all the way up, huh?
Here, yeah, raid the tape. It said, did you turn on the monetize tab? I had everything going. I mean, everybody used to be able to super chat, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening.
Hey, Ray, you're too funny. He says, Ray, get with me after the show. Currently, we're doing my office. I don't know if that's serious, but like I said, hey, he said he's currently doing it. He said, Farrell, get with me after the show. Currently redoing my office. You're hilarious. Van City in the building. All right, let's see. Hold on. SVT says this man on here recruiting Farrell to the Jets. Hey, I'm not a Jets fan. I am not a Jets fan or Eagles fan. Dang. Maybe this week against the KC Chiefs, because I don't like the Chiefs, man. At the end of the day, man, I'm rooting for the Eagles this week. Trend the Great. If Rodgers becomes a Raider, then fine, but just means we get Carr. It's not. Hey, you can't be too confident, man. Carr has to want to go there anyways, and you got to show interest as well too, because at the end of the day, he wants to be wanted, I guess. I don't know, however way Derek Derek Carr's brother, said he wants stability and you know, you can have him. Hey, you can have him. We just want a first round pick. That's all. The Raiders want a first round pick. Let's see here. Rated Tape says, I think Diablo's injury prone. I mean, after this year for sure. Van C says, this. Trust me, going from Derek Carr to Aaron Rodgers is like going from broken down Toyota Camry with a broken headlight and a flat. Dang, man, he's I guess I'm gonna have to give you one of those, man. Shots fired, man. Ooh, he came for Derek Carr on that one. That's messed up. All right, Vicky says later shows are good for me because I have to work. Okay, hey, I appreciate you coming through. Raider Nation 510 says he says Rodgers will cost money. Rather put that towards the defense and add more weapons. Hey, I'm with you. I don't know about weapons on offense. I want us to build that defense for sure. And that's what we kind of led into the show with that mindset of saying that, hey, like at the end of the day, like I'd rather have the Raiders be cheap at the position, build this team, build this roster, do it right. I mean, do you want to be a one-hit wonder, or do you want to build this team for the next 5 to 10 years? And I think that's what Dave Z is coming from, especially when you hear his interviews. He's talking about, you know, how he values draft picks, how he wants to build through the draft. That's how you can have sustained success. And I just don't think that getting a guy like Rodgers, it makes sense, especially with this team. But, you know, at the end of the day, like I'm sure Mark Davis is going to be in his ear. I'm sure, you know, a guy like McDaniels is going to want to get someone out there that he could trust. Let's see here. Rated Tape says, I rather. Okay, you already went. Okay, damn, I'm all the way up to the top.
I'm trying to get this figured out. I think I got it though.
All I said last season, people were saying Renfro was the next Tim Brown. Who said Renfro was the next Tim Brown? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. He's a good slot receiver, but you know, obviously the season didn't go the way it was supposed to. But he's a good player. He's just not a great player. Let's see here. Stidham and a rookie. Hey, look, Raider Nation 510. Stidham. Hey, you keep spitting facts. Stidham and a rookie should battle it out. That's how I feel about it, man. Let's see. Trend the Great says, come join us. No, hell no. No. That's a no. Raider Room says, we land Rodgers, watch him bring in old ass Mercedes Lewis and Randall Cobb. Hey, it could happen possibly. You know what I mean? Who knows? They got to be willing to play for pennies though. Let's see. Tinned again says, never mind. You talking to somebody else in the chat. Let's see here. Paul Gaines, Cuba. Man, a lot of y'all want Rodgers to come. And I seen we put like, you know, my guy Raider Ray, he put out like a poll the other week, and he had you guys vote for where do you guys want to go with the quarterback position? Do you want to draft a guy? Do you want to trade for Rodgers? And a lot of y'all want Rodgers to really come to the Raiders. But that's a classic Raider move. But man, y'all don't want to draft a young guy. Y'all don't like Bryce Young. Y'all don't like Will Levis. Y'all don't like C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Man, there's some guys in the draft that, you know, a couple of guys, I should say, that you could win with now. Rated Tape says top free agent linebackers are David Jones is available. Ooh, and Anthony Walker Jr. Okay. Raider Ray. Hey, Raider Way says, fair NFL. Did you say Arnett was the next Mike Haynes? Hey, man. Stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me. Look, I'm gonna give you.
Stop the cap.
Hey, come on, man. I'm gonna give you one of those, man. Stop playing with me, bro. Hey, hey, Rated Taste. I'm for real, for Pharaoh. Me, SAT, been talking about how.
Dang, Raid says I'll take it a step further. I don't even want a QB this year.
Wow.
Hey, yeah, let's build the house nice.
Raid wants Baltimore. He wants that Baltimore defense with Trent Dilfer at quarterback. That's what he wants. That's what he deep down. That's what Raid wants. He wants that old school Baltimore 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense, but Trent Dilfer just
throw me in there with
dinking and dunking, just dinking and dunking.
I'm all for it. Just build this house for Caleb Williams. Set up Caleb Williams' office for us.
Let's see here. Let's see. Man, I wish I could put this up. Let's see. All eyes. He says Rodgers is a win, man. Blah blah blah. Just early. Man, hey. I know you love your Jets team, but you come on, man. This is hey, come on, man. You can't come here disrespecting the chat like that, man. Hold on 1 second. All eyes says Rodgers is a win now mode pick, but Ziegler or McDaniels are. Hold on, I can barely see this.
Thank you, Raiden. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm glad somebody gets it.
What happened?
We got to build a good team enough that we can trade picks away like the Niners did for Lance, like the Rams did for Stafford, the Broncos did for Russ. They had teams good enough to do it.
But whose fault is that, though, man? See, like, whose fault is that? Like, you got to look at that too as well. And I'm not, at the end of the day, like, we know, I know you know the answer to that. We all know why.
Yeah, that's our fault.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
That's 100% our fault.
But you're saying but he's saying don't draft a QB at all. Like literally pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I would draft. I'm drafting a quarterback, but I get what he's saying. I think he's
a good guy.
Raid wants a defense. That's where Raid is at. Raid wants a defense.
He wants a defense, but he doesn't want. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm taking a quarterback. I'm taking CJ. That's what I'm taking.
Hold on, let me see.
I like CJ's upside.
See if I can see the comments better this way, because. Let's see. Just another DJ says, "Yo, fellas, 2 players that are guaranteed impact players in the draft are Sidney Brown from Illinois and KJ Conti from Pittsburgh." Okay. Let's see. Running with Chase Garbers. Edgar says, "Running with Chase Garbers." Hell no. No.
That's my guy.
Come on, man.
Give me 15. Hey, if we're running with Chase Garbers, I'm going Raid's route. Hey, if we're going Chase Robbers, I'm going Garbers. I'm going Raid's route. I don't want to take a quarterback. Just get a bunch of defensive players.
Let me see.
Garbers 2023, baby. You heard it here first.
Hey, SVT is not that bad. It's not that bad, SVT. Come on, man. Don't do him like that. Hey, even me as a Jets fan. Okay, hold on. Let's see this. Realish Raider. Okay, I appreciate this comment. He says, at some point, the Raiders have to stop with this 1 to 2 year plan. Build the D, and the rest will fall in place. Hey, I'm with you. But we still can get a young QB. We still can build a defense and still get a young QB.
Saying. Go build a defense and go get a guy like CJ. Go get whatever. I mean, you're high on Bryce Young. You're gonna have to give up a lot of draft capital. Go get him. I think you have more realistic opportunity.
No. I'm saying if he's there, like if he drops, because one of the biggest thing on Bryce Young is the biggest thing that you could point to and say why Bryce Young wouldn't be a guy for a lot of different teams is because of his size. But everything else, though.
Raid says, what QB are you taking then if you guys are drafting one? If I can and I can build a defense and go get Payne and David and at 7, if I have to, I might go out there and risk it on a CJ and I might build around him.
But where would he have to be? Where would he have to be for you to like, let's say,
like I said earlier, I think you're going to have to go up to 4. I do. I think the Colts are definitely going to be in conversation. I don't think that they reach and take a Will Levis. I think that they're going to probably take a guy like CJ. So you'd have to be willing.
5 is Seattle. And I know they're all like Geno Smith this, Geno Smith that, but they're not like they're willing to go get a young QB if he's there. I think they would take a young QB because Geno Smith.
They might also go get like a Tyree Wilson. edge player, young, athletic. He just fits their scheme and system. So I could see them. They get young, nasty defensive players, and it just tends to work for them. So I could see them getting a defensive player for sure. I think you have to move up to 4. My guy would be CJ. However, I'll give you another situation. If you're there at 7 and you take the best defensive player available and say the Raiders get a first-round draft pick from the Saints, that 29th overall, or even another second-round pick that they can come back into the bottom of the first, that's where I would probably grab a guy like Anthony Richardson. But I don't necessarily know that he starts year 1. I don't know. If you go and get him in the first round and he's the best player at the quarterback position, if it's him and Jarrett Stidham, then obviously may the best guy win, and it'll probably be Jarrett Stidham year 1. But I'm going CJ Stroud, and if I'm taking a gamble on a player, it'll probably be Anthony Richardson.
So what happens if Bryce Young is available at number 4 or 5? Do you trade up to get him?
Here's the thing. He does everything good. It's just his size doesn't carry over. He's barely 5'11". He's 185 pounds. And at the next level, I mean, let's be honest, the Raiders don't have the number 1 offensive line. Okay. And you have to have some type of size. That's why I like a guy like CJ. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a big guy and he can create with his legs. You know, a guy like Bryce Young, I just worry longevity-wise how his body's going to handle the next level.
So do you think C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback than Bryce Young right now? I don't think so.
I wouldn't say that.
Nope. Because I know you watch maybe like a game or two of Bryce Young for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Dude,
he's a fun player to watch.
Georgia game, CJ in that Georgia game. If I was getting that CJ all the time, he's definitely in conversation. He balled out. Yeah, Raid Young is too small. He's just too small.
I know.
But he said, Stroud is better than Young. What does Young do better?
I think he's more accurate. I think he's better. I think he has better pocket presence.
You think? I think Stroud's he's a pocket passer.
I think and I don't know. He has that it factor too. Like for some reason he finds a way when he moves around the pocket to just get these. I don't know. He has that little bit of. I don't know. I don't want to compare him to Mahomes, but he got a little bit of like that.
Oh no! Don't do that. Let me save you. Let me save you.
6'6" Mahomes. You know, a little. You know,
you don't want to be caught on the internet making claims like that. Nah. He's too small.
And he has an arm. I think you probably.
But at 185 pounds, your arm is naturally going to be limited. He's not going to launch it 80 yards down the field. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not in his frame.
But it's good enough, though. It's good enough. It's good enough.
Nah.
When you watched him play, did you feel like his arm was an issue?
No. It's just it's a different level. When you're talking about the National Football League, like there's a lot of these guys who do exceptional, but he's too undersized for me to the fact that when you're that small, the beating that you're going to take in the NFL. Look at the Johnny Manziel.
His size, though. You're talking about his size. I'm talking about like his.
But there's at a point also, like measurable wise, like I'm not. That factors in for me. Like the tape, I let the tape speak for itself, and I think Bryce Young is a good quarterback. Good with accuracy, good pocket awareness, makes good decisions. There's a reason why he's the number 1 overall consensus pick. But when you're talking about the next level, I'm taking a guy like CJ based off of 6'4", 220. Good in the pocket.
You're projecting it. Yeah, I get what you're doing. You're projecting him into the NFL, and the NFL is a bigger, more physical, athletic. I get it. But man, he's going to be an interesting player to watch too. I
don't think Bryce is bigger than DC. I'm pretty sure he's 5'11", 185.
Nah, DC's like she's 6'3" at almost 220, 218, 215.
He's probably 215 range.
You know what I mean? You could probably knock down an inch if you want to, if you just feel like they're probably having at a bigger size.
Dang, he says Bryce Young is what Trey Lance is supposed to be. Dang, bro.
But Trey Lance, you know what I like about Bryce Young too? He played in McDaniel's offense too. I think the offensive coordinator was what's his name? He's now the offensive coordinator for the Patriots again. Former head coach of the Texans. I don't know why his name can't come to me. But that's another reason why I feel like, hey, he could come in and play in the McDaniels offense and play it smoothly. But
Oh,
like
he says I keep saying Bryce. I mean CJ. Okay, yeah. If
yeah,
you're
yeah,
asking that, then CJ, yeah, he's bigger and moves better. Dude, that Georgia game, Ray, go watch it. I'm sure you have. You might have, but and even Farrell, everybody in the chat, go watch that Georgia game. Like what he put on film. If that's the quarterback that I'm getting as a rookie stepping in to the Raiders organization, look, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. Accuracy, poise, creates with his legs, pushes the ball downfield, makes guys miss. He's what you want.
I ain't mad at it. I just want us to get a young QB, to be honest with you.
Raider Ray says, Raider Ray, let me ask this. Us Jets fans want to know where Carr is going. Is he a Jet or a Saint? It's hard. I mean, I don't have a magic ball, but I would probably lean if I was him. He would probably go to New Orleans. He's playing in a dome. He's playing with the guy who drafted him. Good defense. He's got weapons on the outside. He's got Alvin Kamara. I mean, and if they're willing to pay him his contract, then go ahead. I would probably say he's a Saint. There's a reason why he's going there first. I'll just say it that way. Yeah, okay, Ray. Now I see you. CJ is what Trey Lance is supposed to be. I can kind of see that. I don't know if you give up 3 first-round picks. I don't know if you do that. Nah, Vicky, if I don't want Carr. That ship has sailed with me, and I'm a Carr guy. I like
You want
Carr.
a pocket who you want Carr?
I want a pocket guy who can actually create with his legs, and that is the modern NFL. You can get a pocket guy, you can get a pocket passer, but have legs to be able to create down the field. I mean, Josh Allen isn't
In
some
today's NFL, you're gonna have to use your legs, man. Like
you have to.
you can't just be a pocket passer for sure.
We need whatever QB is willing to be yelled at by McDaniels.
That's pretty much young QBs. Yeah, for real.
But hey, look, y'all, I appreciate you guys wanting to reach out, do super chats. I appreciate all you guys for tuning into the show. Make sure on the way out, you leave a comment when the video's done. You smash the like button, shoots the video up the algorithm, lets other Raider fans find us. Go subscribe to Pharaoh NFL. Go subscribe to Raider. Subscribe to Raider Ray. Let us know that you enjoyed the show and that you want us to continue to keep making content for you guys. And look, we're going to keep coming and bringing you guys fire show. We're making upgrades. We're doing everything that it takes to compete in this game. So, Pharaoh, you got any closing statements before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I'm just excited for this offseason, man. Like, hey, we're gonna have a different quarterback. We're gonna have some big moves on hopefully on the defensive side of the ball, some upgrades, some additions, maybe some big trades coming up. I'm just really excited for the offseason. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Derek Carr gets traded in the upcoming days. I mean, I think Monday the deadline. I think it's Monday.
Yeah, what is today's date?
The 15th. The 15th is the deadline. So it's coming up real quick. So we'll see what happens. Derek Carr is going to finally talk to a team. The Saints tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully, the next time we go live, we'll talk about like the Derek Carr trade. You know what I mean? Hopefully, we'll have some good news to talk about, man. But I'm excited for the offseason, man, as usual.
Yeah, me too. So everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let us know down in the comment section below if you guys enjoyed the show. Smash the like button, subscribe to both of our channels. We will see you guys next time. And as always,
just win, baby.